Welcome everybody to Tino's Time Wrestling. Before we get going on this episode, I want to remind everybody to smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Go follow at Tino Time 1996, Tino Time 10 on Facebook and Instagram, and everywhere you listen to your podcast and all your social medias. But now let's get into the show. We are going to be talking about Survivor Series, one of the best pay-per-views, the four big pay-per-views in WWE. It's actually my 1 year anniversary of Tino's Time Wrestling. We started Tino's Time Wrestling a year ago on Survivor Series. So let's give your boy Tino a round of applause. He made it a year, and so many more to come because your boy Tino ain't stopping until he's sitting next to Corey Graves or Michael Cole. But Survivor Series this year is not what it used to be. The pay-per-views used to be so good. We used to see Raw versus SmackDown. The build was amazing. We used to see invasions. We used to see all these things. But now it's not the same. And this Survivor Series, these matches on paper look really good. The teams look really, really good. But there's been no build at all. We haven't seen an invasion. We haven't seen anybody go after each other. We've seen a couple promos for Becky and Charlotte. We've seen a few things like that. But, they just really have not. They didn't even do qualifying matches. Qualifying matches were one of those things that I always look forward to during the Survivor Series build, and we didn't see that. We got the teams named on Twitter. And not that I'm not hating with Twitter, I just think that there should have been matches. And so before we get into all the matches, I just wanted to mention that because, this is one of the best pay-per-views. I went a few years ago when it was NXT versus SmackDown versus Raw, and it was just awesome to see. That whole weekend was awesome. TakeOver War Games was awesome. NXT versus SmackDown versus Raw at Survivor Series was awesome. We saw Keith Lee. We saw Tommaso Ciampa. We saw Adam Cole, baby. We saw all these amazing athletes, and it looked like they were going to go the right way. And I get it, last year with COVID and everything, it was what it was. But this year just has not been it just hasn't been very exciting. But don't you worry, your boy Tino's going to be here, and we're going to get the excitement level as high as we possibly can. So let's not waste any more time, and let's get into all the action that's going to go down at this year's Survivor Series. It's the 25-year anniversary of the great one. If you can smell what The Rock is cooking, 25 years, we saw the debut of Rocky Maivia in the Survivor Series. And the Survivor Series matches have been a jump board and a springboard to guys' careers like Dolph Ziggler, Randy Orton. We've seen so many guys in these matches just go out, show what they can do, and they end up going a far way. And, so the first match on the card they are doing for the 25th anniversary for The Rock, they are doing 25-man Battle Royal. And the participants are Ricochet, T-Bar, Mansoor, Cesaro, Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, The Street Profits, Eric, Ibar, R-Truth, Drew Gulak, AJ Styles, and Omos. AJ Styles should be on Team SmackDown, Team Raw. I'm sorry, he's not on SmackDown anymore. He's the face of he's the face that runs the place, but he's on Raw now. He should be on Team Raw instead of Austin Theory. We saw guys taken off of Team Raw, and it was not what it was. Ray and Dominic were taken off of Team Raw, and they got replaced by Lashley and Austin Theory. But AJ Styles is a guy that should be in the traditional 5-on-5 match, not a battle royal. That's just my opinion. His tag team partner Omos, Sami Zayn was in the traditional match, but they took him out, and they said you're going to the battle royal. Humberto Carrillo, Angel Garza, I guess he just only has one name now. Apollo Crews, Commander Aziz, Otis, Chad Gable, the Alpha Academy, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander of the Hurt Business. We haven't really seen them come out too much. Dolph Ziggler, Robert Wood of the Dirty Dogs, and finally, Jinder Mahal and Shanky. Maybe Jinder and Shanky are going to rap again like John Cena back in the day. That was some funny stuff a few weeks ago. And a lot of these guys are just guys that I just feel like were thrown into this battle royal because they have nothing else to do and Vince wants to get them on the card. And to be honest, it's kind of hard for me to choose a winner. I think that the top people in this match is going to be obviously AJ Styles, Cesaro, Sami Zayn, Ricochet, the guys that were pretty much. Apollo Crews probably will be in the finals. I could see Commander Aziz, maybe Cost and Apollo, maybe we see something like that. But I don't really know how well of a match this is going to be, and I don't want to spend too much time on it. So, in the end of the 25 men that are in this match right now, I'm going to go with Cesaro to win this. Cesaro, in my opinion, he lost a fatal 4-way match on SmackDown to get the last person on the SmackDown team for the traditional match. Sheamus won that match. So they put Cesaro in the Battle Royal, and Cesaro is a guy, we saw him face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. He was getting there going and getting a run, and then all of a sudden it went downhill. So, Cesaro, I feel like he deserves this, and hopefully he wins this. And speaking of that, I wanted to get in, before we get into all the matches, because I feel like the Battle Royal will happen on the pre-show, and then the rest of the matches, because it's all champion versus champion, and then the 5-on-5 traditional matches I keep mentioning that we'll talk about last, they are all probably going to be on the main card. But before we get to the main card, I want to mention all these releases. We've seen so many people in the last, 60 days and get released. We've seen people come out and just bash the WWE. We've seen Killian Cross, Scarlett, Aleister Black a while ago. We've seen so many people get released. Keith Lee got released. A couple days ago, we saw Tegan Knox get released. Hit Row was a great faction in NXT. Swerve Scott was the North American champion. They were doing their thing, and they get promoted to SmackDown, and they get released. And it's one of those things where it just seems like, I think it's up to 180 superstars that WWE has released since COVID. And that's just crazy to think about because it just seems like Vince just literally hoarded the talent while COVID was going on, and it's just ridiculous. So I wanted to mention the releases because there are so many big names, and I'm sure some will probably go to AEW and stuff like that. And, I don't want to spend a whole podcast naming every single name. So if you haven't seen everybody that's been released and you're not a big wrestling fan and fanatic and freak like I am, then go look it up, WWE releases, and you'll be able to see the huge list that was all the people that got released. And it is just so sad, and it sucks. But I just hope and I wish the best to everybody. You guys are all great professional athletes, especially Drake Maverick. You did that phenomenal promo and phenomenal video package. You're going to do great things in the future, so none of you guys never give up, like our boy John Cena likes to say. You can't see me. But enough about all that. Let's get into the actual matches that are going to happen at Survivor Series. And let's start things off with RK Bro versus the Usos. RK Bro is the Raw Tag Team Champions, and the Usos are the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and the Usos are running with the head of the table, his right and left hand man. They're doing their thing. And, over on Raw, we see RK Bro just riding around on camels and scooters, and Randy's trying to keep Riddle not so high or whatever Riddle does. I think this is going to be a great match. This is a match between 4 great athletes. And, it's just one of those things where I'm upset that there's been no build. We should have seen RK Bro go out and beat up the Usos on SmackDown. We should have seen the Usos beat it. We just should have seen an invasion or something. I mentioned 2019, the one that I went to in Chicago a few years ago. We saw an invasion on Friday night where NXT Triple H brought out all the NXT superstars and they just invaded Raw and SmackDown, and that's what they were very lacking, and it was just very disappointing. But I think that these 4 men are going to go put on an absolute show. But in the end, I'm going to take the Usos to win because if you have watched Survivor Series, since they've been doing Raw and SmackDown, it seems for some reason they always let Raw win. But with SmackDown being on Fox and Roman being so hot as he is, this might be the first year that SmackDown does a clean sweep. And I'm not saying that I'm predicting that, but in this match, I think the Usos are gonna win. They're with Roman. Roman might come out. Paul Heyman might come out. Who knows? But in the end of that match, the Usos are gonna take the W. But I would really like to see RK Bro win that match and just get the upset. The next match on the card, this is another one, a great match, but no build. Damian Priest, the United States Champion, versus the Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura. The one thing about Shinsuke, I love Shinsuke Nakamura. He has not defended the title. He's defended it once since I think August. And, it's one of those last time he had the title, he didn't have a very good run. And this time they're doing the exact same thing. We should have seen him in some type of a rivalry. There's so many people backstage that, I named in the Battle Royal that could be facing Shinsuke in a rivalry. But, I'm happy that he's still the champion. He's got Ricky Rube or whatever the heck that guy that wants to sing and go, Shinsuke Nakamura! I can't do it. Nobody ever do that again because that was awful. My bad, people. But in the end, between Damian Priest and Shinsuke Nakamura, these two are going to go to the absolute battle, and they're going to battle each other, and they're two great superstars, and this is a dream match that I've been wanting to see. They just didn't do any build. But in the end of this, I'm going to take Damian Priest to win this. And he's going to get on the board for Monday Night Raw. And they're going to tie it 1-1. Because remember, it is bragging rights. And this is something also that I should mention. That I think that they should do down the road. Or they should have done it anyway. I think that the winner between Raw and SmackDown at Survivor Series, maybe they get the 30th entrant in the Royal Rumble the following year. Maybe they get the last entrant in the Elimination Chamber. Just they should get something then for winning Survivor Series. They don't even give out a trophy. You remember a few years ago? I think it was a few years ago. It was like probably 2013. They gave out a trophy, and I just remember Chris Jericho and Big Show and all of them holding it up. And yeah, I just think that is something to be mentioned because I just think that would be giving the brands a little bit more to fight for. But Damian Priest and Shinsuke is going to be a great match. But I'm taking Damian Priest to get the dub in that one. The next match on the card I want to talk about, it is the women's traditional 5-on-5 match. This is something, I mentioned it with the qualifying matches. We didn't see any qualifying matches. These teams were announced on Twitter, on WWE.com, all the social medias. For Team Raw, we have Bianca Belair and Bianca Belair, EST at WWE. We have one half of the women's tag team champions. I kind of forgot that they were tag team champions. Rhea Ripley. We have Liv Morgan. You only live once. And your future Raw Women's Champion. Don't you forget that because she's the #1 contender. And after she takes care of Team SmackDown, don't you worry, Liv's going after Becky for that title. Carmella and Queen Vega for Raw. For SmackDown, this has changed, and I'm very upset about it because I was really happy with the way the team was, and I'm not mad with the person they replaced her with, but Aaliyah, I think with her being called up, I think that she should have got a shot. She won her SmackDown debut, and then they took her out of the match, which really did not make any sense to me. But for Team SmackDown, we have Sasha Banks, the boss, legit. We have Shayna Baszler, the badass. Queen Baszler is going to take over for SmackDown. Remember, she's on SmackDown now ever since the draft. Shotzi Blackheart, she's been ever since she made her debut from NXT. Oh my God, I almost said AEW. I might have gotten in trouble for that one. But ever since Shotzi got called up from NXT, she's been doing, she hasn't really got the opportunity. And sadly, I mentioned Tegan Nox earlier in the show. She got released and, she was somebody else that got called up. And I think that she should have got the opportunity. And it really sucks. But Shotzi, the last few weeks, been showing her name. She had a couple matches with Sasha Banks. She even tried to shake her hand last night. But Sasha Banks was like, heck no. And it just did not work. And the last two members for Team SmackDown is Natalya. And it's Toni time. Finally, Toni Storm is getting the opportunity. We've talked about her a little bit in my other shows, and ever since she got called up to SmackDown, she hasn't been part of things. But 2 weeks ago, we saw her come out and go face to face with Charlotte Flair. Now that's a dream match I want to see down the road. That would be lit. Who else would want to see that with your boy Tino? Because that would be awesome. Imagine Liv Morgan and Toni Storm as Raw and SmackDown Women's Champions. That'd be something different. For this 5-on-5 women's match, though, I think all 10 women are going to do their thing. They're all going to show what they're capable of. And, these are 10 amazing women athletes that can do their thing in the ring. And when they're given the opportunity, they can do it. And they put on a show. And sometimes they're better than the men. Let's be real here. But in this match, I really hope that this one lasts about 20 minutes. Sometimes these traditional matches don't last very long. Or we see somebody get pinned 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then it's 5-on-2, and it's like I want to see these girls battle, go back and forth, and everything like that. So I want to see that, and hopefully it is like that. But after the dust settles and all these 10 women beat the crap out of each other, I'm gonna take Team SmackDown to win this. I love Liv Morgan. I love my girl Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, but with the way SmackDown, I talked about it with the Usos, I just think that this is the year SmackDown finally beats Raw and finally brings home brand supremacy. But I'm going to say one bold prediction for this match. I think that the sole survivors for Team SmackDown is going to be Toni Storm and Chauncey. Chauncey and Toni Storm are going to be the two sole survivors. Remember, one full team has to be eliminated, and even if your team members are eliminated, you're still in it until they get eliminated. So, two sole survivors for SmackDown again, Chauncey and Toni Storm. I keep saying Chauncey Blackheart, but I don't want to get in trouble. They took away Blackheart from her last name. I don't know why Vince McMahon likes one-name people, but it is what it is. So, Team SmackDown is taking the dub. Now, speaking of the women, let's talk about the Raw Women's Champion versus the SmackDown Women's Champion. Becky Lynch, the man, the mom, Becky Two Belts, whatever she's calling herself today, like Charlotte Flair likes to say. The SmackDown Women's Champion, they just switched belts, which was kind of stupid in my opinion. I didn't really think that there was any type of point to that, and I think that there was definitely better ways for them to do that. But, they've been hyping this one up. They really haven't, we haven't seen an invasion, which is really disappointing because that's one of my favorite things about Survivor Series. It frustrates me. It makes me aggravated as much as I love this pay-per-view. And I even have a Survivor Series shirt. Even when Survivor Series was good in 1988, we had Andre, we had Ultimate Warrior, we had Jake the Snake. We had so many good guys, and it's not what it is, but that's okay. Becky and Charlotte will still do their thing. They're gonna put on a show like they always do, but in the end, I think this is where Becky wins. Becky's gonna take the dub for Monday Night Raw, and she's gonna tie it up at 2-2. And this is what I'm saying. It's gonna be back and forth. I'm not saying Raw's gonna get clean sweeped. I think that they're gonna win a few matches, but I think in the end, I think that SmackDown just comes out on top. But, yeah, we love Becky and Charlotte, but we've seen this match a few times. We've seen these girls go at it, and of course, we know what type of match it's going to be, so I don't want to spend too much time on it because, there's better matches we could see. I think Bianca Belair should have beat Charlotte or Becky, I think that would have been a better match, in my opinion. Bianca versus Charlotte or Bianca versus Becky, whichever order they wanted to do it. But that's just my opinion. So like I said, I'm taking Becky, the mom, the man, Becky Two Belts, whatever you want to call her today. And Raw is going to tie it up 2-2. And going in to Roman Reigns versus Big E, it's going to be tied 2-2, like I just said. And this match, this is another one. This is one where, we haven't seen an invasion, but last night with 3 minutes left in SmackDown, for some reason, I don't know why Big E didn't come out with all of the Raw roster and beat him up, but Big E came out while New Day member Xavier Woods was chilling in the ring and talking about how he's the best and how he needs his crown back and everything, which he's right. He needs his crown back. Big E came out and beat up Roman Reigns. Xavier Woods helped Big E beat up Roman Reigns, and that was the only type of invasion that we saw. And I'm not surprised I don't get my hopes up anymore, people. And if you do, it's kind of like just stop getting your hopes up with WWE. Because as much as I love WWE, they just always let us down. And they just never give us what we want, and they just always let us down. So I just never get my hopes up. But Roman and Big E, these are two members. Big E, Money in the Bank winner, cashed it in, won the championship. He's getting a great run. Roman's been on top for 2 or 3 years now. He broke CM Punk's. I think he did finally beat CM Punk's record for the longest title reign in WWE history. Universal WWE Champion, World Heavyweight Champion, But I think these two men are going to absolutely beat each other up. I'm sure the Usos are going to come out after their match with RK Bro. I'm sure Kofi and Woods are going to come out, and maybe they'll make it. Maybe we'll see it happen where they do it on Raw, where all of a sudden they'll stop the match and we'll see a 6-man tag team match. Holla, holla, holla. Like Teddy Long is going to come out and, oh my God, but don't get me started on that. But anyway, these two men, hopefully it does stay a singles match. They're going to beat the hell out of each other. But in the end, there's no way I'm not going against the king, the head of the table, the head of SmackDown, the head of Fox, Roman Reigns. He's been on top. And I'm not saying that Big E don't have a chance. And he very well might pick up the W, which would be awesome. And I'd be shocked. And on my post show on Monday, I'll be like, I was wrong. Big E, he took the W. But I can't go against the head of the table right now. So I'm taking SmackDown to go up 3-2 and Roman Reigns to knock off the WWE Champion, Big E. Now, it's finally time to talk about the last match on the card. And, they might add another few matches on the card, but we'll have to see. Hopefully they don't, because I don't want this pay-per-view to be 4 or 5 hours. I want them to give the matches they have on the card at least a little bit of time, and let's see everybody get the opportunity and the time that they deserve. Because I don't like mentioning AEW too much in my in the WWE podcast that I do. But Full Gear was last week, and it was one of those things where the pay-per-view, it wasn't too long, it wasn't too short. The matches were good. Every match was given the amount of time. And it's just crazy the difference between WWE and AEW and their pay-per-views and everything like that. So hopefully they get the time that they rightly deserves, and WWE can prove everybody wrong and put on a good Survivor Series pay-per-view. But now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about this main event. And I don't know which one is going to be the main event. It very well might be Big E and Roman Reigns, but usually it is the 5-on-5 traditional match for the men. So that's what we're going to do, and that's what I'm predicting. The last match on the card is going to be the 5-on-5 men's traditional match between Raw and SmackDown. And on Team Raw, we have the Monday Night Messiah, the savior of WWE, the Drip King, everything he does, New Daddy, Seth Rollins. We have Kevin Owens, Fight Owens Fight. Please, Owens, don't leave and go to AEW like everybody else. WWE can't lose anybody else. Please, Owens, don't go. Fight Owens Fight. We have Austin Theory. He took over for Rey Mysterio after Adam Pearce had Lashley and everybody beat up Rey Mysterio and then says he wasn't medically cleared or yada yada yada. I need the best people on the team. So he replaced him with Austin Theory. And I'm not hating on Austin Theory. I love Austin Theory. But again, I just think that there's other people that they could have put, and bigger stars like AJ Styles. There's just so many other people that could have been in Theory's spot. But maybe he'll be the one to be the sole survivor. And you never know. Randy Orton, when he first started his career back in like 2003, he was the sole survivor for his team. And now we see where he's at. He's the rated RKO. He's the badass. He's a several time WWE champion, World Heavyweight Champion. So you just never know. Maybe this is Austin Theory's chance. Team Raw also has the Prince, Finn Balor, and the almighty Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley did replace Rey Mysterio on the team. He replaced Dominic. Rey Mysterio was replaced by Austin Theory. I just mentioned that. Dominic was also on Team Raw, but he was replaced by the almighty Bobby Lashley. My bad. Now, for Team SmackDown, we have the guy that was on Raw forever. Now he's on SmackDown, Drew McIntyre. He took over WWE during COVID, and he was the WWE champion. And now he's taking Team SmackDown in the Survivor Series with King Woods. Hopefully he gets or I almost said queen. Hopefully he gets his crown back from Roman or from SmackDown, and he'll be wearing it and representing it on Survivor Series, because that's what happens when you have the king on a team. Jeff Hardy, the charismatic Aminna. I said that completely wrong, but you guys know what I mean. Jeff Hardy, he's on Team SmackDown. Happy Corbin with Rick Moss or Happy Moss or whatever they're calling him today, I guess. I don't know. And we also had Sami Zayn as the last member of Team SmackDown, but he was replaced with Sheamus, and he won that Fatal 4-Way match that I mentioned earlier with Cesaro. And yeah, so Sheamus is now a part of Team SmackDown, and that's a very good team, and we talked about it. These matches and these teams look really, really good on paper. There just hasn't been any build at all, and that's been the biggest disappointment about this whole situation, is that WWE just has not given us what we want as WWE Universe. And as for a pay-per-view that you're saying is a big four, this isn't no big four, because you should have built it way more. I've went back, and I'm one of those, I like to go back and watch all the old Survivor Series, WrestleManias, depending on what pay-per-view is on, and I go back and rewatch all of them, and it's just crazy to see how much it used to be. Even when we got the unsanctioned, we got all this crazy stuff with Shane McMahon, and we got, it's crazy that we don't get to see those things anymore, and it just sucks. So, these 10 men are going to put on a show. They're 10 great athletes. They're great guys, and, I really hope, we talked about it, I hope Owens don't leave. Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre are going to put on a show. Everybody in this match is going to be awesome, and I just cannot wait to see what happens. And like I keep saying throughout this whole show, I really hope that it exceeds my expectations and they don't let us down. So, in the end, after these 10 men beat the crap out of each other, I'm going with SmackDown again. I think SmackDown is going to take this pay-per-view, and they're going to do their thing, and they're going to win 4-2. And, they might even count the Battle Royal if Cesaro wins. Then we'll say 5-2. We'll just give SmackDown another win. So, 5-2 SmackDown, because I'm sure whoever wins the Battle Royal, they'll count that for whichever brand the guy is on. So, I'll count that too. So, I'll go 5-2 to SmackDown. And the only two wins that I think Raw is going to get, if you did not hear, or if you forgot, I'll mention it again. Damian Priest is going to beat Nakamura, and Becky is going to beat Charlotte. So, we have 7 phenomenal matches. And, again, I talked about it. They look great on paper and everything. And I just really hope that this pay-per-view exceeds my expectations, because, again, it's one of my favorite pay-per-views. And after I went to the one a few years ago, it got me really hyped. And I've just always loved Survivor Series. The elimination matches, the debuts, the rivalries. We've seen the Shield debut. We've seen so many crazy things happen throughout the 25 plus years I feel that has been Survivor Series, and that it's been on. It's been on since at least 1988. I know that for sure. I can't remember the exact date. I think it was 1986 if I'm mistaken, or if I'm correct. But if I'm not, put it in the comments, because I'm going to look it up after I stop recording. So, but yeah, Survivor Series has been around forever, and it's just one of those pay-per-views I love. So hopefully it exceeds my expectations, it exceeds your expectations, and we have a good Sunday, and we enjoy some wrestling. And don't forget, we still have football all day for all you fantasy football freaks and geeks. Go check out at Tino Time on YouTube, Instagram. I got my fantasy football preview, my fantasy football recap. We have a Tino's Time special. We did a picks with all sports now. My boy Corey. So go check that out now. But this show isn't about football and all this and that. This is about for all of our wrestling freaks and geeks. So I hope everybody enjoys Survivor Series. Hopefully we don't see any more people released before then, right? Because, WWE 2K22 is probably having an issue with all the rosters, and they don't know what to do. They keep putting in and out, and they're going to have to just put all the legends that WWE still talks to in the game. But, again, for the last time, I hope everybody enjoys Survivor Series. I hope everybody represent Team Blue or Team Red, whatever brand you're representing. I'll be representing Team Blue, because SmackDown has always been my favorite. So, until Monday morning, Monday afternoon, early afternoon, when we do a Survivor Series post show and we recap everything and all the action that happened. This is your boy Tino signing out.